Of the City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, to be held on May 4, 2021 at 6 p.m. at the Council Chambers Building, 826 North Main Street, Cottonwood, Arizona. Mr. Vice... yeah. Please.
Councilmember Walden.
Here.
Councilmember Matthew. Here. Councilmember Cora.
Here.
Councilmember Merritt.
Here.
Councilmember Henry.
Here.
Vice Mayor Halls.
Here.
And Mayor Linsky is absent.
Okay. And would you all stand with me and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is a brief summary of current events by the Mayor, City Council, and/or City Manager. The public body does not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take legal action on any matter brought up during this summary unless the specific matter is in the properly noticed for legal action. Council members, do we have any public comments that you want to make? No? Mr. Corbin?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. A couple things. I first want to start by thanking our city clerk. She brought back our monthly art demos, working with our local artists. This month is Carol Bohr, is gotta be careful how I say that, is an alcohol ink artist who loves working with alcohol ink because of the vibrant colors and fluid movement of ink. This month's is called Kaleidoscope of Color 3, and they're posted around. And if you'd like to come in at any time, call the city clerk's office, and they'd be happy to open it up so the community can look at the art. And then I wanted council to know about a new trail segment of the Blowout Trail near Airport Road and Mingus Avenue. It has been completed. We've got that was funded by an outside agency. Gary, what was the name of that place?
Through the Verde Valley Cyclist Coalition, the Verde Valley Wheel Fund, and they got money from the Katina Foundation.
Katina Foundation, thank you. So they're going to have a little meeting at 7:30 right off of Airport Road, just north of Mingus Avenue on the concrete bridge to take a look at the new trail that they helped pay for. So very excited about that as we continue to expand our trail system. And Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, this will eventually connect up Del Monte and up into the mountains, right?
Correct. This goes through the Mesquite Hill subdivision and connects in with the Forest Service and the new blowout wash system that they've got up there. So you'll have a connection all the way from Mingus Avenue and Airport all the way up the mountain.
Very, very excited about that, and as we continue to grow our trail system. And then a couple upcoming meetings. Tomorrow night, the Cottonwood Airport Commission will be holding their regular meeting Wednesday, May 5th at 6 p.m. here in the chambers. The agenda is posted online at cottonwoodaz.gov. Also tomorrow night is the Historic Preservation Commission, which will hold their meeting at 6 p.m. at the Cottonwood Clubhouse across the street there on Main Street, and their agenda can also be found online at the cottonwoodaz.gov. And then I'm just giving council a heads up that we are in the finishing stages of our summer youth program for the season. And we will very shortly be releasing the information later this week as we finalize our staffing needs, which is the issue for every business in our community right now. But as soon as we get our staffing lined up, Jack will be releasing those events, and people will be able to sign up for the summer programs.
Thank you, Mr. Corbin. All right. Next on our agenda is a call to the public. This is the portion of the agenda is set aside for the public to address the council regarding an item that is not listed on the agenda for discussion. However, the council cannot engage in discussion regarding any item that is not officially listed on the agenda for discussion and/or action per Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.02, subsection H. Comments are limited to 3 minutes time period. I have one person who would like to speak. Are there any other individuals here tonight that wanted to address the council? If you do, there should be yellow forms like this at the back that you can fill out and give you an opportunity to address council. Okay? All right. Since there's no one else raising their hand, we'll go ahead with Annie Valaquez. Is that correct?
Ladies and gentlemen, to whom it may concern, first and foremost, it should be noted that my statements within is being set forth as a compassionate humanitarian and a concerned local citizen who truly cares about the well-being of our local cemetery and has been victimized at the cemetery on 3 separate instances within a matter of 2 years. During January of 2019, my then 65-year-old father and I went to the cemetery to remove Christmas decor that was placed during late November of 2018. To my appalling discovery, 4 items were taken, one of which was wired to a supportive structure so as to prevent from being blown away by wind. On November 25th of 2020, my father and I put out new Christmas decor. I remember my father and I being quite sore for a few days because of our extensive efforts of wiring garland throughout the outline of my mother's personalized metal cross. Nevertheless, 8 days later, we returned to the cemetery with the intent to add some decor. To my dismay, 5 items were gone, 2 of which were pried off upon being taken. Most recently, in January 9th of 2021, the discovery of disturbing, malicious destruction upon my family's gravesite, plus the gravesites of at least 12 other families. What was most disheartening regarding my family's disturbances was the damages done to my mother's belongings. Her metal cross had been completely bent back as though kicked and stomped down. Her only remaining angel statue was broken apart, and the Christmas wreath had been yanked out, having busted its Christmas balls as well. It should be noted that I regularly tend to and redecorate 4 times throughout the year. May, in memory of my mother's passing, Mother's Day. July, new florals for my mother to commemorate her birthday. November, upon commemoration of my grandmother's birthday, to put out Christmas decor. And January, to remove Christmas decor. I conduct such efforts because, for one, my mother was such a decorative type of person. It is of comfort to continue to display her passionate trait. Secondly, to maintain upkeep is simply my way of showing my deceased loved ones that, although they are gone, they are not forgotten. To my knowledge, several disturbances have ensued at the Cottonwood Cemetery for the past 3 years, with no evident, proactive, protective security measures taken to correct the situation. Why? How would you feel if someone was frequently violating the gravesite to your deceased loved ones and no one did anything proactive about it? I just want to deal with the fallout. I want to make things better for the cemetery while I try to deal with this. As a result, it is with a heavy heart that I not only appeal a sense of justice to procure a secure peace of mind for posterity, but also for the pure standard of principle. Shall the leaders of our community righteously seek resolution, may it be implemented upon enactment as an ordinance and/or policy to accommodate an initiative, reverent success, and an equitable level of a local unity, as I believe a communal initiative stance with this current problem will demonstrate a positive resolution of resonant virtue. After all, Cottonwood, the heart of Arizona wine country, maintains the slogan, inspiring a vibrant community. Hence, may the outcome of this particular issue validate what we as a community want to be recognized for. Thank you. Thank
you, ma'am. And you have our sympathies, and I believe we will be looking into the matter.
We have you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. Was there anyone else that wished to address the council this evening? Okay. Next will be the approval of the minutes, the regular meeting of April 6th, 2021, and the work session of April 13, 2021. Do I have any?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Councilmember Matthews and seconded by Councilmember Henry. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Monthly financial report, February 1, 2021, financial report. Kirsten, is there anything to report? Do we have any money?
We do, Mr. Vice Mayor. This is our monthly report that we've included in there. So unless there's questions, we make it available on our website. And of course, we publish it in this monthly meeting.
Okay. Any questions from council? Okay. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Following items are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless council member or a citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in a normal sequence on the agenda. First item on the consent agenda is resolution number 3095, appointing Joe Former to the Historic Preservation Commission. Number 2 is a one-year extension of the contract for fiscal auditing services with the Lombard and Associates PLLC, a division of the Pun Group LLP. 3 is the purchase of permitting software for the Community Development Department. And that's the end of the consent agenda. Are there any council members have any questions or want to pull any of these agenda items? Okay, anybody from the public wish to comment about them? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Okay, Councilmember Henry moved to approve the consent agenda, and Councilmember Naren seconded that motion. City Clerk, would you take a roll call vote?
Sure. Councilmember Henry?
Yes.
Councilmember Clorot?
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews?
Yes.
Councilmember Naren?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilden?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Halls?
Yes.
And motion carried.
Okay. Would you also read by resolution number only, resolution number 3095?
Resolution number 3095, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona, appointing Joe Former, a member of the city's Historic Preservation Commission, and establishing his term of office.
Thank you. All right. New business. The following items are for council discussion, consideration, and possible legal action. Number 1 is a request from Mr. Bruce Minnie to keep bees at his residence located at 2336 Prospect Circle. Is Mr. Minnie here tonight? Would you care to address the council? Is there anything you want to tell us?
Recently moved to Cottonwood in December of last year, and bees have been kind of a strong passion of mine for the last several years. I had a neighbor back in Washington State that kept bees. The more I read up on them, the more interesting they are to me, and I think they are very vital to our ecosystem. I would just like to have the opportunity to start one hive and see where it goes from there.
Okay, thank you. Council, do you have any questions? No?
No, I'm one of his neighbors, and I can tell you we don't have enough bees in the area, so.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion there. I move to grant Bruce Minnie permission to keep bees in the backyard of his residence located at 2336 Prospect Circle in accordance with his request and subject to compliance with all laws, regulations, codes, and ordinance applicable to this activity.
Second.
Okay. Councilmember Matthews made the motion, and Councilmember Wilden seconded it. Roll call count.
Councilmember Henry?
Yes.
Councilmember Clorot?
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews?
Yes.
Councilmember Naren?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilden?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Halls?
Yes.
And motion carried.
Okay, thank you. The next item is discussion and direction to hold a public hearing regarding the possible elimination or reestablishment of transit fares on the Cat Verde Shuttle systems.
Vice Mayor and Council, today I just want to give a brief history for those that aren't aware. Back in March of 2020, we started the pandemic and we started having shortages of passengers on the CAT system and also on our Verde Shuttle. At that time, we asked Council to go ahead and reduce or eliminate the fares temporarily during the pandemic to encourage ridership. We were one of the few, well, in this area, we were the only transit system that was running. The Yavapai Apache Nation Transit actually closed down, and they have not yet gotten their system up and running that I know of. They were very close to getting it up and running. To prevent the spread, we actually limited our services, had one large circular rather than the 4 or 5 different systems that we have. We also upgraded our cleaning protocols to ensure the safety for a lot of our drivers as well as our passengers. At that time, we were trying to encourage passenger counts to go back up again. We've been real fortunate that we were off about 20% from previous years, so we were actually not in too bad a shape. But now I'm coming to the council because after the first go-around of eliminating the rates, we got an additional recommendation to go further. However, it terminates on July 1st. Rather than coming to council every so many months and asking council whether we want to extend it or not, there has been talk about just either eliminating rates altogether, which is not uncommon in a lot of transit systems, especially the larger ones. However, just so you know that when you eliminate rates in the transit system, ADOT through FTA, Federal Transit Authority, will go ahead and give you more money for your transit system. But there is a catch there. We still have to come up with our matching portion. Currently, our matching portion, if we were to do away with rates altogether, would be about $90,000 additional into the transit system. And this is, of course, a multi-million-dollar transit system that we have. But before we can even if council chooses to go ahead and go back to our old rates, we have to have public hearings, we have to have public input before we can even do that, even though it was a temporary move to reduce them, and now we want to reestablish them if that is council's choice. So what we're asking council is, rather than going out and just going before the public and saying, what would you rather have, no rates or the old rates, obviously we're going to get the no rates conversation. We want to get council to give us guidance whether do we really want to eliminate the rates altogether, and we'll go to the public and get our public hearings taken care of, or do we want to reestablish our old rates and go to our public and basically tell them we are going to raise our rates back to what they were before. Like I said, we are in relatively good shape. Our passenger count is almost back to normal. We're off about, well, I shouldn't say we're off. During the pandemic, the year of the pandemic, to month per month, annually, we are off about 20%. So it's not as bad as we thought it was. We still have masking requirements, though, on our transit system that were not required. Because it is an FTA funded, a federal program, they still have masking requirements. We are still adhering to those. Our passengers as well as our drivers have to adhere to masking requirements. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to get direction from council if you would like to eliminate the rates or if you'd like to reestablish them so we can give our public hearings and get back to one or the other, or get to one or the other.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Council, comments?
There's obviously a need, and I'm all for raising the rates or going back to the system where we did have rates. It's fine, makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they're prohibitive, and it's just for the same reason that you have even a small copay to go see the doctor. It's just to prevent people from abusing it, and so they have a little bit of stake in the game. So I think it'd be best to just go back to where we were. Go ahead.
I agree. I thought that I can't talk tonight, I apologize. The suspension in my mind was always a temporary one, and so now it seems as though it's an appropriate time, especially with the CARES Act funding, drying up, that we resume our regular rates, in my opinion.
I agree.
I'm thinking the people that are riding the bus are usually the people that have economic hardship to begin with. If they didn't, they'd be driving to work or wherever it is they're going. Do we have enough money to be able to afford to not put it back in? And can we get Sedona to contribute to their part of it for the section that goes up there?
Do we have the money? Yes, we would have to pull it from other resources. Traditionally, we would be holding them because we cannot make budgetary authority for them. We would have to hold them harmless at this point in time. So because we've already been discussing as far as what the cost is going to be for next fiscal year. To go back to them and give them a bigger bill would be a little bit difficult. We would probably have to hold them harmless for at least that 1 year before we can go ahead and bring them on board. But do we have the additional 90,000? We can always come up with the money. It's just we have to get it from other programs.
Mr. Vice Mayor, if I can also add, I'm less worried about Sedona than I am the county and Clarkdale, because remember, we also partner with those two organizations, and my guess is they're not building their budgets on a higher contribution to our transit system.
So they would not be budgeting at the higher rate? Is that what you're saying, Mr. Corbin?
Their numbers that they've already been given are already in the inside of their budget. We would have to go back and ask them for additional budget.
Okay.
But Mr. Vice Mayor and Rudy, correct, Mayor, Mr. Rodriguez, we don't need a vote tonight. We'll have the public hearings and then we'll come back for a vote. Is that correct?
Right. All I'm asking for is direction with whether to increase them or not, or just eliminate them completely.
Thank you. I would say that the council is in almost complete agreement that we would like to reinstate them. So,
okay. We'll go ahead and get the public hearing scheduled, and we'll bring it back to council as far as the comments that we've received over them.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the cooperative purchase agreement with Extra Play Incorporated for the procurement, of playground design equipment and installation services at the Cottonwood Kids Park.
Yeah. Good evening, Vice Mayor, Council. Jack Teal, your Parks and Recreation Manager here with the City of Cottonwood. I'm here tonight to ask for approval on our cooperative purchasing agreement with Extra Play to install the playground at the Cottonwood Kids Park. This is a project that's been ongoing that was identified through our Parks and Recreation Master Plan and funded through the portion of Community Development Block Grant that was set aside for it. So prior to asking you guys for your approval, I'd like to go through this quick slideshow and give you a kind of rundown of how we went through that process to make sure we got the community input and their involvement in selecting this play structure. So first, we identified 4 separate play structures, each one of them with a uniqueness of its own, but something that still targets exercise and healthy play within our park system. We put those 4 options out to the public for review to allow them to choose which one of those concepts was best for Cottonwood. We did that through what I would consider an exhaustive public engagement process. We went through all the local schools through Cottonwood Oak Creek School District. I met personally with all of their teen councils, their school student body advisory committees. They all got a chance to go through the same presentation, review the playgrounds, ask questions with myself and even the representative from Extra Play. They all got a vote on it. We went to all the civic clubs, Lions Club, Knights of Columbus, Verde Valley Leadership, and gave them that same opportunity. So that way we were hitting all the spectrums between the community levels. And then as well, we did an online voting aspect component of this that generated 297 votes just through that section alone. All those together, we held a final in-person meeting on May 1st. And up through this entire process, when I wasn't out giving the presentation, I had our 4 poster boards at the recreation center so people can come in and vote throughout that entire process. By the time,
Mr. Teal, I want to interrupt. Can you go back to that slide? You skimmed over what I thought was an important one, the Bella Investment Group, because we did try to reach out to the local community who are going to be using that playground.
Sir, yeah. I was able to contact the investment group who owns that organization. They set me up with apartment manager, and we were able to give them our link, and they sent that out to all their residents through all the apartment complexes that Bella operates here locally. So the one directly across on 12th Street from the park, as well as the other areas through town. And then with that, we tallied up all the votes, and the winner, as voted on by the community, was option 3. You cannot see the votes there, but option 3 had 55% of the votes. Out of the total 524 votes that were cast, it had 55% of the votes, which overwhelmingly showed the support for option 3. And with that, I'd open it to any questions for you guys and see if there's anything I can answer for you on the project.
Council?
Where at the kids' park are you going to put the equipment?
Yeah, so if you can orient yourself in the park with me real quick, you have the Ramada right there, and the bathrooms are off to your left. So this is going to go directly in front of the Ramadas, but stay within that tree line so it doesn't encroach any of the soccer fields or any of that open green space.
Any other questions?
Yes, just one. What is the ground material? Is that a wood chip or a sand, or what is the type of material?
Yeah, Vice Mayor, Councilmember Henry, that is a microfiber wood chip. So.
Mr. Vice Mayor, can I, Mr. Till, can you talk about next steps in the community involvement for the next part?
Absolutely. So one of the things is once we get this lockdown and approved through council, we're going to go ahead and look to see if we got the color pattern right here. We'll take about a week to send it out to the public with different color schemes to make sure that our colors are on point, and that's what the community wants. Once the color scheme is selected, we'll go ahead, we'll put in that purchase order through Exerplay, and they typically have about a 3-week turnaround time to get this in. So then we'll start targeting our dates to put this playground equipment in the facility. And one of the biggest components that I'm most happy about is the community build aspect. So once we target those dates and we can finalize them, we're going to open up to the public. So all the things that need to be done by professionals will be done by professionals. The clearing the landscape, the capping and cutting of the irrigation system, the putting in the curbing, the sidewalks, all the professional level work will be done by professionals. But we're going to allow the community to come out and have a part in putting this together. So whether it's spreading the wood chip, whether it's bolting the stairs together, or some of those signages together, we're going to have a community build aspect and invite everybody out over a weekend to help put their stamp and their final spin on this park.
Very good. Any other questions? Okay. And what is it? We need to agree on the purchase, is that correct, Mr. Corbin? Or,
yeah, you know, I didn't look closely, but I believe you'll need to vote to approve this purchase, yes.
Okay.
So ready for a motion?
Yes, please.
I move to approve the proposed cooperative contract with Exerplay Inc. for playground design, equipment, and installation services at Cottonwood Kids Park in an amount not to exceed $244,000.
Second. So, Councilmember Naren made the motion. Vice Mayor Hulse seconded the motion. Would you do a roll call count, please, Mr. Clerk?
Councilmember Henry?
Yes.
Councilmember Clurat?
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews?
Yes.
Councilmember Naren?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilden?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hulse?
Yes.
And motion carried.
Motion carried. Okay.
Mr. Vice Mayor, can I just add, I wanted to personally thank Jack Till and his team. This was an exhaustive, very thorough process of reaching out to the community in any way he could think of. And he may have left out, he spent last Saturday hanging out at the rec center where people were invited to come in and look at the boards. The community involvement in something like this and the community ownership, I'm pretty excited about, and I just wanted to thank Mr. Till and his team for making this happen, so thank you.
Yep.
Absolutely. Our pleasure.
As a member of the Parks and Rec Commission, I thank you as well. I think you did a wonderful job.
Our pleasure. It really was a team effort, and we had a lot of good people leading this up, and working with Exerplay has been phenomenal.
And as a big proponent of engaging the public, good job, Jack.
Thank you.
And if I must say, Jack, you always do a good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
And I've got this next one here for you too when you're ready.
All righty. The next item on the agenda is the ordinance number 700, adding a new chapter 12.10, Public Trails, to Title 12, Sidewalks and Public Places, first reading. Mr. Teal?
Vice Mayor, Council, thank you. I'll try not to take too much more of your guys' time tonight, but I do have one other item I'd like to bring before you. This is a trail amendment to our municipal code, sidewalks and public spaces. So as our trail system continues to grow, we're going to need to start addressing some of our trails ordinances. So we plan on doing that by adding the verbiage into the municipal code of public spaces and sidewalks to read public spaces, trails, and sidewalks. This will allow us to add that right into that chapter 1210 and the use of public trails. With that, this is what we're proposing in front of you tonight. Is the first bullet point there, A, is really talking about what is going to be enforced. What's going to be enforced on the trail, the acceptable uses of the trails, who can, who can't, where that's going to happen, and all those lines. And then the bottom section of it is who's going to have the authority to post the rules and to make sure that we're designating trails in the correct fashion. One of the main components of this is it's really focusing on e-bikes and off-highway user groups. So your motorized bikes, things like that. It's not targeting wheelchairs per se, and I know that's some of the language that is in there. So these are all the things that we're looking at doing. The reasons why is as the trail system continues to grow, our trail network is expanding, and we're going to end up crossing into a lot of different trail types. For instance, the one that was talked about earlier today coming off of Mingus and into the Blowout Wash, you're going to end up connecting that trail from the top of Mingus all the way out to Sedona. So on its way there, you're going to hit through recreational trail, urban trail, and some of those just public walking commuter trails. So being able to have a designation for each one of those trails to post appropriate usage at each one of them is going to be a fundamental key for our success as we continue to grow the trail system. And then it's also for a clear differentiation between what is a commuter trail and what is a recreational use trail versus those off-road urban trails. So that's why we're here tonight. It's a first reading of this, so we don't expect any movement on it, but I just wanted to open up and see if you guys had questions, concerns, comments on it that I can help address tonight.
Thank you. Council, comments, questions?
I don't have any questions. It seems fairly straightforward as we're growing and developing our trail system, so I have no questions. Looks fine to me.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Teal. I think we're in agreement. It looks like a reasonable request, and I'll have you back and do a second reading.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you all for your time. It's been a pleasure. Have a good night.
Thank you. Pardon me. Okay, next on the agenda is the claims and adjustments.
Sir, Vice Mayor, do you want me to read the ordinance?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, please.
Ordinance number 700, an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, amending Title 12, Sidewalks and Public Places of the Municipal Code by amending the title and adding a new chapter 12.10, Public Trails. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. Now we'll do claims and adjustments.
I move to approve claims and adjustments.
Second.
Okay, Councilmember Naren moved to approve the claims and adjustments. Councilmember Henry seconded it. Could we have a voice count vote?
Councilmember Henry?
Yes.
Councilmember Kurat?
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews?
Yes.
Councilmember Naren?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilden?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hulse?
Yes.
And motion carried.
Okay, thank you. All right, next item is a revised proposal from Platinum Realty Services to sell the rough cut building to the city pursuant to A.R.S. 38-431.03.A.3, A.4, and/or A.7. The council may convene into executive session to discuss this matter and provide direction to staff.
Mr. Vice Mayor, so we received an offer for the Rough Cut building in the form of a contract. So as it pleases council, we can go into executive session to talk about a counteroffer or not doing it, or however it pleases council to move forward.
Okay.
Motion?
Yes.
I would move to go into executive session to discuss this item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, folks, we're going to ask you to leave. We're going to be in executive session in the back room, and I cannot tell you how long we will be there. You're welcome to stay until we reconvene, but I appreciate you coming tonight. Thank you.